The stock market took a major beating today. All of the indices dropped over 2%. The Russell 2000 well over 3%. The Dow Jones seeing its worst drop since October of 2020, whereas AMC did much better than all of its peers. And we're going to take a look at some of those examples. Even other movie theater companies dropped over double what AMC did today, with all of them sharing the same risks. So this showed you a couple of things. One, the apes are holding on to their shares, that short sellers are not very inclined at the current moment to short AMC stock. There must be much more risk than potential gain by shorting AMC. So I think there's a lot to be excited about in general, but in this video, I want to give you guys my perspective, what I think is going to happen with this new variant situation, if AMC is going to rip or are we going to crater. I'm going to go over the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and my base case scenario, what I expect to happen. But as always, I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial planner. So always do your own due diligence, come to your own conclusions. A lot of the due diligence will be provided to you guys in this video, but it's very important to come to your own conclusions. If you cannot handle the smoke at this current moment, if you can't handle AMC rocketing from this point, going straight up or going straight down, this is not the stock for you. Patience will pay in due time. Now let's get into this video, guys. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you guys want to get totally free stock, which right now is not a bad time to do so, check out the link in the description for Moomoo. Find yourself on that page. You will get a free share of Lucid Motors when you deposit $100 to fund your portfolio. That is a guaranteed over 50% return at the current moment, and just for starting your portfolio, get one other free share valued in between $3 and $3,500. So take advantage of that while it is available. Now let's talk AMC. So AMC was down 3.24% on the day. In after hours, down 0.45%, dropping about 23 cents. Currently, the markets are taking a slight move to the downside as well in after hours. This is due to the variant. Basically, nothing else besides the variant. There is some China news about them delisting Didi and some other China stocks maybe next, but that is not what is causing this drop today. This is all due to the variant. That is what is stealing all of the headlines, and the headlines, to be honest with you guys, are kind of scary from just a humanity perspective and for our financial investments. But does that translate into AMC stock cratering? Does that translate into AMC stock ripping? That's what we need to clarify here in this video. I think we're going to have a live stream later on tonight as well. So if you guys want to get more in depth with this, you guys can join me on that about 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned for that. But let's go over what the fears are, what is causing all of this activity in the markets to the downside today. And it's very unprecedented because we do have this new variant called Omicron. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The WHO just labeled this as the name for this 3 minutes before the market did close. They are saying it's a variant of concern. But why is the markets freaking out? You've never heard about this until today. The first case was identified November 9th, and there is only a handful of cases. Some people are saying 10 cases, some people are saying as much as 85 cases. But how does that translate into the markets falling over 2%? Now, in my personal opinion, putting on my tinfoil hat, I think they are letting out what people need to hear, but not all of the details. I think for the markets to freak out like this and drop over 2%, much more than we dropped over the Delta variant, I think it's showing you guys that this could possibly be much worse than they are letting out to be. That basically the markets are pricing in that lockdowns may be a viable option right now if this does spread like the Delta variant. And there is going to be some things to be paying attention for, especially over this weekend. And the biggest thing, trust me, the biggest thing you guys got to pay attention to, whether you're invested in AMC or the overall markets, or you're trying to play the downside and make a lot of money, whoever you are, pay attention to really this one thing, but two things in general. The mortality rate. Is this a higher mortality rate? Well, I should say three things. Is this a higher mortality rate? Are the hospitals starting to fill up more in South Africa? Meaning, if you get this, do you have a better likelihood of or greater chance of going to the hospital, because those are really the two things that force lockdowns. If the hospitals are not able to cater to people that go in there for, cuts or whatever the case is, just going to the hospital for normal emergencies, that's where you're forced to see lockdowns. And that is probably your worst case scenario for a lot of reasons. We may, go into more about inflation and how stimulus, well, if we go into lockdown, how stimulus printing money will play into a long-term downtrend in the markets. But on top of that, pay attention to how this is spreading, and arguably, most importantly, the vaccine. If we do get data about this variant is not really affected with the vaccine, that is going to be an issue as well. But hospitals and mortality rate, definitely in my personal opinion, are the biggest things to be watching for and to see how this does develop. I know we have Canada that was just speaking. I believe they're speaking right now. So we should get some headlines on if they are going to restrict travel as well. And then ultimately, if America does too, that's going to be a very bad sign, because why restrict travel if you're seeing 10 to, on the higher end, 100 cases of this? This is showing you guys that people are very fearful. There's probably, with a tinfoil hat, keep in mind, there's probably something else we don't know about. At least that's what investors are pricing in. Now, this says, just for the key points, we're going to go over this real quick. It is feared as a sharp upswing of COVID cases in South Africa's Gauteng province, where the heavily mutated strain of the virus was first identified, could mean it has greater potential to escape prior immunity than other variants. The WHO has said it will take weeks to understand how the variant may impact diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines. So either way this plans out, it's going to be a very volatile next couple of weeks based off of the headlines that we see. Now, what you guys need to know is right here. What do we know so far? South African scientist Tulio de Oliveira said at a media briefing on Thursday that the Omicron variant contains around 50 mutations, but more than 30 of these are in the spike protein, the region of the protein that interacts with human cells prior to cell entry. What's more, the receptor binding domain, the part of the virus that first makes contact with our cells, has 10 mutations, far greater than just 2 for the Delta COVID variant, which spread rapidly earlier this year to become the dominant strain worldwide. So this could spread very fast, and that is the real concern. Around 100 Omicron variant genomes have been identified in South Africa, mostly in the Gauteng province. The variant has also been detected in Israel, Botswana, and Hong Kong. So you guys can see how fast this could spread, just like the Delta. If this is worse, you could force lockdowns. But does that mean, like I said, does that mean AMC is going to crash or crater or rip or drop, or just the overall markets in general? And I think you have to look at what happened today. Like I said, with AMC dropping over 3%, take a look at some of its competitors. You see Carnival Cruise Lines down almost 11%. Cinemark down 5.33%, almost double what AMC fell today. Delta Airlines down 8.32%. Cineworld down 8.34%. These are AMC's competitors, with Cinemark dropping the least but still dropped 5.33%. Comparing to AMC's 3.24%, this is telling you guys people are holding onto the stock. That is very clear. So I think AMC will have more level of resiliency as we are seeing this low volume and people, like I said, are holding onto the stock. We have essentially restricted the flow. But if we do go into these lockdowns, if this does become a topic of conversation, not even necessarily going into lockdowns, but if they are becoming a topic of conversation, if government officials start to make comments about this, you will see a downtrend in AMC and these other stocks. But today showed a strong level of resiliency overall. And those are really the things to be watching for. Now let's talk about the best case, the worst case, and the base case scenario, what I think is going to happen. So as you guys can already tell, the way markets are, well, tell from this video and the way I'm presenting this to you guys, that the way the markets are reacting, I think it's a little bit worse, or a lot worse, than they are actually letting out. But I don't think we are going into lockdowns, because the long-term, health of the economy, if we go into lockdowns and more stimulus is printed, we're definitely going into hyperinflation. There's no way around that, and nobody wants that to happen. So I think lockdowns is the most unlikely thing that is going to happen at this point. They're not very popular. Like I said, hyperinflation. But what I do think is coming, I do think we are going to get travel restrictions that will start to come into effect probably over this weekend that will send the markets down a little bit more. And I do think my base case scenario, what I think is going to happen is that we will probably test this $35 support level probably, and what I'm thinking is based off of on Monday, if we do get some announcement over the weekend, that will be the initial reaction, and then we'll hit this $34.50 $35 level and then see a bounce back above that as people realize lockdowns are not coming in the near term future. So I think you will get a further drop, hit this support level, bounce back up. Now, the near term worst case scenario, until we get verbiage of lockdowns, if the government is considering lockdowns or if they do lockdowns, the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is going to be this 200-day moving average. As we can see with the S&P 500, if we do pull up the moving averages, you guys will be able to see that the 200-day moving average all throughout basically 2021 has been a level of support, and we hit this once right here, came close right here, never really touched that ever since. And if we do pull up the 100-day moving average, this is the one we bounced off of a lot, just bounced off of this over and over and over again. And obviously this has went up a little bit, but we bounced off of this once, twice, three, it was a bunch of times. And then once we did fall under this, we eventually did bounce back above this. So if the markets do take a downtrend, watch overall for the 100-day moving average and the 200-day moving average for the S&P. But how this translates into AMC stock as well is that the 200-day moving average should remain our lowest level support. And even at that $30 price, that's where we really seen this bounce last time around. And I don't expect this to be all bad right away. If we are facing lockdowns or whatever the case is, you will see this take a little bit of time. And ultimately, the lower AMC drops or the overall markets, the more pressure there is on short sellers to cover on their short positions. As we know, Volkswagen back in 2008, they short squeezed at the bottom of the market in October. So do not forget that. If the markets come down, that's sucking liquidity out of these hedge funds. For the most part, if they're over leveraged, it's really sucking liquidity out of them, and they are more inclined to cover on their short positions. And we do have tax loss harvesting and the Santa Claus rally that is coming into effect as well here in the next couple of weeks. Now, the best case scenario is going to be this all blows over, this gets contained, and there's no other lockdowns. I don't think that is going to be the case. That's why I want to be straight up with you guys, straightforward. If that is the case, I do expect a breakout past $45, as we do have a lot of option contracts that are held at the December 17th, a lot of hedging that will have to happen in January 21st, 2022. Now, this is an unseen event. Nobody in their right mind saw this coming. So I do apologize for my part and maybe getting you guys excited for the end of the year. Not saying a rally is not going to come, but this was just unexpected. Nobody, not one person made a video about this that I have seen. So it's just very unfortunate how this is playing out. It's really 50-50 at this point. I know you guys hate hearing that as well. It's really 50-50 if this is going to develop into something worse or if this will just blow over. But we do know apes are holding onto their shares, constricting the flow. We know that the short interest is well into the 18 to 19% range, considering the exchange reported short interest date that we did get, and the price action of the stock has came down about $5, about $7 since November 15th. So we know people holding onto their shares, compressing that float. So once we get bullish volume coming into the stock, that is game over. Basically, we're going to see a big rally. We know that short sellers have not covered on their short positions. We know after the move today that AMC and apes are very resilient, holding on to their shares, and we do know that we are going to see hedging and overall just market buying power coming into AMC from the market makers and hedging all of these options in the month of December as well as in January. So if this blows over, just to reiterate, I think you're going to get that breakout past 45, probably mid-month in December. That December 17th expiration week looks very promising. Your worst case scenario, at least in the near term, is going to be that 200-day moving average, $30.63. My base case scenario, just to reiterate yet again, is that we see a drop on Monday, probably pretty consistent to what we've seen today, down to about $35, and then you will see and people realize this is likely not as bad as the market investors are taking it for today, because what they're acting like today is that this is terrible, we're probably going into a lockdown. I don't think that is the case. So I think you'll hit that $35 level, bounce back up to where we are currently sitting, in between $37 and $40 per share until we get further developments. But that's as far as I can see in the near term future, until we get some more news to go along with this. So hopefully this provided you guys an honest, open, and transparent opinion on what is going on, provide you guys the due diligence why today was actually bullish for AMC. And like I said, I apologize if this rally does not play out by the end of the year, just because this is an unseen event, and I'll keep you guys updated on what is going on, what I think, what the due diligence is telling us, and everything else you guys need to know. So drop that like on the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you want, more honest opinions into what is happening right now in this very volatile time, hit that subscribe button, consider sharing this video, all that good stuff. If you guys want that free stock of Lucid Motors for depositing $100 into your brokerage account, use that link for Mumu, as well as other links for free stocks. Those are the brokerages that I personally use, link down below in the description, and the link for the buy and sellers. We plan on killing this, knocking this out of the water if the market does go through a downtrend. We made trades on this today as well. If you want to see those trades that we made today and get notified every time a trade is bought or sold, check that link out in the description for the buy and sell alerts. Now, I hope you guys don't panic. Love and appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you for watching this video, but I will see you later on tonight in the live stream, or I will just see you in the next video.